My beloved child, stop for a moment and hear me clearly. I am not calling you because disaster is waiting outside your door. I am not speaking because you failed me, disappointed me, or wandered so far that I no longer know how to reach you. I am speaking now because your heart has been carrying too many voices at once, and there is something important you may miss if you keep listening to everything except the place where I am trying to meet you. Set the noise down for a little while. You do not need another prediction tonight. You do not need to refresh the screen again. You do not need to replay every conversation, search every silence for meaning, or ask 5 different people what they think will happen next. My beloved child, come closer. There is a place inside you that is tired of trying to understand everything. That is where I want to speak. You have asked me for an answer many times, but not every prayer came out as a sentence. Some nights all you had was a long breath. Sometimes you stared at the ceiling and did not know whether you were praying, worrying, or simply trying to make it through another hour. Sometimes your heart felt so full that words could not carry what was inside it. I understood you then. I understand you now. You never had to explain your exhaustion perfectly for me to see it. Think of Hannah when her lips moved, but almost no sound came out. The people around her did not understand what was happening inside her, but I did. I heard the prayer beneath the words. My beloved child, I also hear what you cannot yet name. That is why I am asking you not to rush past this moment. But I am not always found in the loudest thing. Elijah expected to recognize my presence in what shook the mountain, but I also met him in quietness. Remember that when your mind tells you that only something dramatic can prove I am near, my beloved child, I am nearer than the noise. I have been with you in the mornings when you got out of bed, even though part of you wanted to disappear beneath the covers. I was there when you smiled so no one would ask questions you did not have the strength to answer. I saw you finish work while your thoughts were somewhere else. I saw you hold a normal conversation while your heart kept returning to one unresolved thing. I saw the message you checked again. I saw the sentence you replayed. I saw you wonder whether you had asked for too much. I saw you blame yourself for believing someone. Then I saw you blame yourself again because hope did not leave when you wanted it to. My beloved child, I am not ashamed of your weariness. I am not standing over you asking why you are not stronger. I am not measuring your faith by how quickly you recover. This is why I need your attention now, not because I want to frighten you, because fear has already been speaking too loudly. I want to lower its volume long enough for truth to become audible again. My beloved child, you do not have to solve the whole future in this moment. You do not have to decide what every closed door means. You do not have to understand why every prayer seems delayed. For now, I am asking for your attention, not your answers. Take a slow breath. Let your shoulders drop. Bring it back. You are here. I am here. That is enough for this moment. You have spent too much energy trying to reach tomorrow before tomorrow arrives. You have rehearsed conversations that never happened. You have defended yourself before anyone accused you. You have prepared for endings while still standing inside beginnings. My beloved child, this constant readiness has made you tired, but it has not made you safer. There is another way to walk. You can listen before reacting. You can pray before predicting. You can rest before forcing an answer. You can allow truth to arrive without chasing it down every hallway. This is not passivity. It is trust learning how to breathe. Remember how Jesus stepped away from crowds even when people still wanted something from him. Need was real, but need did not control every movement. There were moments for action and moments for quiet communion. My beloved child, you also need spaces where urgency from the world does not decide what happens inside you. I am creating such a space now. Do not fill it immediately. Let there be silence between these words. Let your heart notice what rises when no one else is speaking. Perhaps sadness appears, perhaps anger, perhaps relief, perhaps nothing at all. You do not need to force a spiritual feeling. You only need to stop running long enough to become honest. My beloved child, what I am beginning with you will require honesty more than performance. You do not need to impress me with strong language. You do not need to pretend that you are not afraid. You do not need to call confusion peace or call exhaustion patience. Bring me what is actually there. If you are tired, say you are tired. If you are disappointed, admit it. If you still hope, do not hide it. If part of you wants to give up, let me meet that part too. I would rather meet you in truth than watch you perform strength while breaking quietly inside. And now hear this carefully. The silence you have been living through is not enough evidence to conclude that I have stopped working. The closed door you keep staring at is not enough evidence to conclude that I have forgotten you. There are things you cannot yet see beyond the wall in front of you. There are preparations that make very little sound. There are foundations strengthened before weight is added. There are hinges repaired before a door can safely carry what is coming through it. My beloved child, you asked me to speak. So begin here. Stop. Hear me clearly. You are not abandoned. You are not being punished. You are not required to force the next door open tonight. Before you decide what the delay means, I want to show you what may be happening inside the silence. Because what you have called delay may be something far more careful. It may be quiet preparation. My beloved child, this is what I meant when I told you that delay may be quiet preparation. You have spent so much time standing before a closed door that you began to believe the silence behind it was the whole story. You looked at what had not moved, what had not answered, what had not changed, and you assumed nothing was happening. But you could only see the door. You could not see what I was doing beyond it. There are times when I do not open something simply because you are ready to move. I strengthen what must carry the weight first. I repair what would fail under pressure. I clear what would make the next season harder than it needs to be. I prepare the room before I invite you to live inside it. My beloved child, you often call this delay because you measure progress by what has become visible. I measure it differently. I see whether the foundation is steady. I see whether the timing is kind. I see whether the people involved are ready to carry what they are asking to hold. I see whether you are still reaching for an old pattern while praying for a new beginning. There are things that would look like answers today, but become burdens tomorrow if they arrived before the structure was ready. That is why I sometimes work quietly. Think about Joseph. Long before he stood in a place of influence, there were years when his life looked nothing like the promise he carried. A pit did not look like preparation. A prison did not look like progress. Silence did not look like favor. Yet pieces were being moved that he could not see. My beloved child, I am not telling you that every painful delay has the same explanation. I am telling you not to make rejection your first conclusion simply because the door has not opened. You have stood in the hallway of your life holding unfinished questions in your arms. Why did this stop? Why did they change? Why did the opportunity disappear? Why did I come this far only to meet another wall? You have asked me whether I forgot the key. I did not. Sometimes I am still repairing the frame. Sometimes I am removing what would collapse after you entered. Sometimes I am letting another person's character become visible before you attach your future to them. Sometimes I am allowing your own heart to become strong enough to receive what you once would have chased from fear. My beloved child, preparation rarely looks impressive while it is happening. A builder working beneath the floor does not create the beauty everyone notices first. Roots growing underground do not receive applause. A seed beneath dark soil can look like nothing has begun, but hidden does not mean absent. Jesus spoke about seed growing while the farmer sleeps in ways the farmer does not fully understand. That is how some seasons of your life feel. You cannot watch every root form. You cannot force every process to become visible. You can only remain faithful while life develops beneath the surface. This is difficult for you because you are tired of beautiful words that never seem to touch reality. I know. You do not need another promise that lifts your emotions for a moment and leaves you carrying the same questions tomorrow, so I will not ask you to pretend. If you are disappointed, I know. If waiting has worn you down, I know. If you have reached the point where you are afraid to hope because hope feels expensive, I know that too. My beloved child, I am not speaking from far away. I have been present in every room where you tried to keep yourself together. I was there when you sat quietly so no one would know how close you were to breaking. I was there when you woke up and did what needed to be done, even though something inside you was tired of beginning again. I was there when you answered kindly while your mind was carrying a conversation no one else could hear. You thought silence meant I had stepped away, but silence is not distance. There are moments when my deepest work makes very little sound. A doctor does not shout while a wound is being closed. A gardener does not command roots to hurry. A carpenter does not strike the finished wall before checking what holds it underneath. My beloved child, I care about what can remain, not only what can arrive quickly. That is why some answers have been slower than you wanted. I am not trying to make you prove that you can suffer longer. I am not testing how much disappointment you can endure. I am preparing you to recognize the difference between something that merely opens and something that can actually hold your life with peace. A door can open too soon. A relationship can begin before truth is strong enough. An opportunity can appear before wisdom has caught up with desire. A conversation can happen before either person is ready to speak honestly. Timing matters, because what enters your life must have somewhere healthy to land. My beloved child, you have prayed many times for movement. Sometimes my answer begins by making the ground beneath you stronger. Sometimes I answer your request for a new door by first teaching you not to run through every opening. Sometimes I answer your prayer for love by showing you where you still call inconsistency devotion. Sometimes I answer your prayer for peace by exposing the habits that keep your heart in a state of alarm. You may not have called those things answers, but they are part of preparation. A season can be quiet and still be moving towards something steadier than the answer you imagined possible. And even now, something may already be shifting, not with thunder, not with a dramatic sign, perhaps only enough for a thin line of light to appear beneath a door you thought would never move. Do not force it wider. Notice the light. Let it be enough for today. My beloved child, you do not need the entire room revealed at once. You need enough clarity for the next faithful step. If the door is still closed, ask what can be strengthened while you wait. If the answer is still forming, ask what truth is already available. If the future still feels hidden, ask whether fear is telling you that hidden means forgotten. It does not. I have not abandoned you in the hallway. I am not standing on the other side refusing to care. I am working in places your eyes cannot enter yet. And when the time is right, what opens will not need panic to hold it together. But before you can understand that fully, I need to correct one more way pain has been speaking to you. You have begun to treat one dark room as though the entire house has lost its light. My beloved child, that is not the same thing. And that is what I want to show you next. My beloved child, this is what I want you to understand next. One dark room does not mean the whole house has lost its light. You have spent too many days allowing one painful place to speak for everything. One unanswered question became proof that nothing was moving. One person leaving became proof that love was no longer safe. One broken plan became proof that your future had somehow been taken from you. And one season of exhaustion became proof in your own mind that you were failing. My beloved child, pain has been making conclusions for you. I am here to correct them gently. I saw the nights when you said you were fine because you did not want anyone to worry. I saw you check the same message again, hoping a different meaning might appear. I saw you replay one sentence until it became louder than every other truth you knew. I saw you blame yourself for believing. Then I saw you blame yourself again because hope was still alive after disappointment. You wondered why you could not simply turn your feelings off. You wondered why your heart still cared. You wondered whether being affected meant you were weak. My beloved child, I do not measure you that way. I saw you get up in the morning and continue. I saw you answer responsibilities while part of you was still standing in yesterday. I saw you care for people while carrying questions no one knew about. I saw you pray when prayer had become little more than a breath. That is not nothing. That is not failure. Sometimes strength looks less like running forward and more like refusing to collapse into bitterness. Sometimes faith looks less like confidence and more like showing up while your heart is tired. Do not despise that kind of endurance. Think about David in the caves before he ever sat where he had been promised to sit. A cave was dark, but it did not cancel his calling. A season of hiding did not erase the road ahead. My beloved child, where you are standing today is not always the final description of where your life is going. You have confused location with identity. You have said, I am in a difficult place, therefore my whole life is difficult. You have said, this person did not choose me, therefore I am not worth choosing. You have said, this plan fell apart, therefore nothing I build will last. You have said, I am tired, therefore I must be doing something wrong. My beloved child, slow down. One room is not the whole house. One chapter is not the whole story. One winter does not cancel every spring. A lamp going out in one corner does not mean the sun has stopped rising. You need to stop giving temporary darkness permanent authority. There are parts of your life that are still alive, even while one area hurts. There are people who love you, even if one person did not know how. There are gifts still inside you, even if one opportunity closed. There are prayers still being formed, even when you cannot yet see their answer. There is still goodness in the house. There is still light somewhere. And sometimes the first step toward healing is simply refusing to call the whole place ruined. My beloved child, I know why you started thinking this way. Pain narrows attention. When one room catches fire, the mind forgets every room that is still standing. When one relationship becomes uncertain, your thoughts begin revolving around it until everything else feels small. When one answer is delayed, your mind starts treating that delay as the center of your whole future. I understand, but I am widening your view again. You are more than the thing that did not work. You are more than the conversation that never gave you closure. You are more than the person who could not recognize your value. You are more than the mistake you still wish you could undo. My beloved child, I am not asking you to deny what hurt. I am asking you to stop making pain your interpreter. Pain says silence means abandonment. Pain says waiting means rejection. Pain says exhaustion means weakness. Pain says another person's hesitation means something is wrong with you. But pain is not always telling the truth. Sometimes silence is simply silence. Sometimes waiting is preparation. Sometimes exhaustion means you have carried too much for too long. Sometimes another person's confusion belongs to them. Do not turn every unanswered thing into a verdict against yourself. Remember the disciples after the crucifixion. For a moment, everything they had hoped for seemed buried. They could not yet see what was happening beyond the silence of that day. My beloved child, limited sight can make an unfinished story look final. That is why I am asking you to stay with me before you name what this season means. You do not have to call the darkness permanent. You do not have to call the delay rejection. You do not have to call your weariness defeat. Look again. There are signs of life you have overlooked because disappointment has been louder. You are still here. You are still capable of kindness. You still desire truth. You still want peace more than revenge. You still care about becoming wiser instead of merely becoming harder. My beloved child, these things matter. Do not measure progress only by what has changed around you. Look at what is changing within you. You are beginning to ask different questions. You are beginning to notice what drains you. You are beginning to recognize when fear writes the story before facts arrive. You are beginning to understand that being left does not make you less valuable. You are beginning to see that surviving a dark room does not require you to build your identity inside it. That is movement. Quiet movement is still movement. The road may be longer than you expected, but longer does not mean lost. Sometimes I lead you around what would have harmed you if you reached it too quickly. Sometimes the road bends because straight ahead was not safe. The Israelites were not always led by the shortest path. There were roads they were not ready to face. My beloved child, a longer route can still be guided. So stop calling every detour failure. Stop calling every pause abandonment. Stop calling every unanswered prayer proof that I have forgotten your address. I know where you are. I know which room feels dark, and I know where the windows are. You do not need every light in the house turned on at once. You need enough light to stop agreeing with fear. That is where I am taking you now. Before the answers arrive, before the phone call comes, before another door moves, I want to place peace around your mind so strongly that fear can no longer distort every sign you see. My beloved child, the next thing you need is not more information. You need a mind guarded by peace. And that is what I want to give you next today. My beloved child, this is what I want to give you now. Before another answer arrives, before the phone rings, before someone explains what they meant, I want peace to stand guard over your mind. You have spent too many nights believing that peace can only come after certainty. You tell yourself that you will rest when the message arrives. You will breathe when the decision is made. You will sleep when the door finally opens. You will feel safe when another person becomes clear. But my beloved child, if your peace depends on everyone else becoming predictable, your heart will remain in the hands of things you cannot control. I want to teach you another way. Peace can come before the answer. Peace can stand beside the question. Peace can remain while something is unresolved. There is news you have not yet received. There are conversations that have not happened. There are decisions others may still be considering. There are circumstances that have not fully taken shape. But your safety is not hanging from one phone call. Your worth is not waiting inside someone else's response. Your future is not being held together by whether one person finally recognizes what you carry. My beloved child, you belong to me before anyone chose you. You still belong to me when someone hesitates. You still have value when another person is confused. You are still loved when the answer is slower than you wanted. That is where I want your mind to rest. You may ask why I would give peace before clarity, because clarity without peace can be distorted by fear. You can receive good news and immediately search for what might ruin it. You can receive a kind answer and still question whether it will last. My beloved child, I want the place receiving the answer to be steadier than before. I want truth to land in a heart that no longer turns every unknown into danger. Paul wrote about a peace that guards the heart and mind. Think of that peace as a watchman standing at the entrance of your inner house. The watchman does not pretend nothing difficult exists outside. He simply refuses to let every sound become an invasion. That is the kind of peace I am building in you. Not denial, not numbness, not pretending that you do not care. Peace lets you care without allowing fear to rewrite everything you see. My beloved child, fear has been interpreting too much for you. A delayed reply becomes rejection. A change in tone becomes danger. A quiet day becomes the warning before bad news. Someone needing time becomes proof that you are about to be abandoned. I want peace to interrupt those conclusions. You do not need to chase every possibility through the halls of your mind. You do not need to investigate every silence until you are exhausted. You do not need to create a painful ending before life has revealed what is true. Stand where you are, breathe. Let truth arrive at the speed of truth. My beloved child, you are not standing outside in a storm without shelter. There are things I have already carried that you never saw. There were words that could have wounded you more deeply but never found the place they were meant to strike. There were plans that changed before they reached you. There were conversations you were not included in because you did not need to carry them. There were directions that closed before you entered them. You may never know every form of protection that passed quietly around your life. Think about Peter sleeping between guards before the prison door opened. He did not understand how the next hour would unfold, but my presence was not limited by what he could see. My beloved child, uncertainty does not remove me from the room. You do not need visible proof of every protection in order to trust that you have not been abandoned. But I know there is still something in your hand, an old key. You have carried it longer than you realize. It belongs to a door that once mattered deeply to you. Perhaps it is a person. Perhaps it is an old opportunity. Perhaps it is a version of your life you still revisit in your mind. You try the key again because part of you hopes the lock may have changed back. You think maybe this time, maybe they understand now, maybe if I explain differently, maybe if I wait a little longer, maybe if I become easier to love, the door will finally open from the other side. My beloved child, I do not mock that hope. I understand why you still carry the key. It once represented belonging. It once represented possibility. It once represented the chance that the story might end differently. But hope does not require you to return to every place that once called your name. Love does not require you to stand forever outside a door that never opens from within. Loyalty does not mean repeatedly handing power to something that leaves you drained, confused, and small. There is a form of obedience that looks like releasing what is familiar. Not because everything familiar is evil, because some things cannot cross the next threshold with you. My beloved child, you have sometimes mistaken familiarity for safety. The old door hurts, but you know its shape. You know where the cracks are. You know how long to wait before disappointment usually comes. There is a strange comfort in predictable pain because it does not surprise you. But I am not leading you back simply because you know how to survive there. Remember the Israelites longing for Egypt after freedom had already begun. Bondage had been painful, but it was familiar. The wilderness felt uncertain, and uncertainty made the old place look safer than it had truly been. My beloved child, do not romanticize what exhausted you, simply because the road ahead is not fully visible. You do not need to throw the old key away in anger. You only need to stop treating it as the key to your future. Set it down. Let peace remain in your hand instead. You cannot receive clearly while gripping what no longer fits. And this is where my work is becoming more personal. I am not preparing only an external change. I am not merely arranging a better circumstance while leaving every old wound untouched. I am beginning to repair the house from within. I am moving toward the room where you learned to wait for another person to confirm that you mattered. I am touching the wall where you hung old rejection like a portrait of your identity. I am opening windows where comparison and self-blame have made the air difficult to breathe. My beloved child, before you understand what may enter your life next, you must stop allowing old rejection to tell you who lives in this house. Peace is guarding your mind now for a reason. It is making enough quiet for me to rebuild your worth from within. That is where I am taking you next. My beloved child, this is where I want to begin rebuilding what disappointment has tried to define for you. Peace has made enough room for us to look at the walls inside you, and some of those walls have been carrying old pictures for far too long. Rejection was hung there like a portrait. Comparison was framed beside it. Self-blame filled another space. And every time someone failed to see your value, you treated their reaction like new evidence that something was wrong with you. I want to take those pictures down, not because the past did not happen, not because the pain was imaginary, but because what happened to you is not the same thing as who you are. My beloved child, you have waited too long for other people to confirm what I never withdrew. You have measured your worth by who stayed, by who answered, by who chose you quickly, by who noticed your effort, by who thanked you for carrying more than your share. And when those things did not happen, you quietly adjusted yourself. You became easier, quieter, more agreeable, less demanding. You learned to say that something was fine when it was not fine because you feared honesty might cost you connection. You learned to hide disappointment so no one would call you difficult. You learned to appear strong even when you needed comfort because you thought weakness might make you less lovable. My beloved child, I never asked you to disappear in order to be loved. You do not have to become smaller so another person can feel larger. You do not have to silence your needs to keep someone comfortable. You do not have to become endlessly useful to earn a place in another person's life. I am rebuilding your understanding of worth from the foundation. Think about Gideon hiding while he saw himself through fear and limitation. I called him by what I was forming in him, not by the frightened picture he had accepted about himself. My beloved child, pain often gives you a name that I never gave you. Too much, not enough, hard to love, easy to leave, always behind, always overlooked. These are not names I placed on you. They are conclusions formed in rooms where you were hurt, and conclusions formed in pain should not become permanent inscriptions on the walls of your identity. You have spent years trying to prove yourself to people who were never qualified to measure your worth. You gave more because you wanted to be unforgettable. You explained more because you wanted to be understood. You tolerated more because you feared that boundaries would make someone leave. You became the peacemaker, the fixer, the dependable one, the person who could carry another burden even when your own hands were already full. My beloved child, there is goodness in your willingness to care. I am not removing your tenderness. I am removing the belief that tenderness requires self-abandonment. There is a difference. You can love someone without making their comfort your identity. You can help without becoming responsible for their entire life. You can listen without surrendering your voice. You can forgive without pretending that nothing happened. You can be generous without giving away the keys to every room inside you. This house was entrusted to you. You are not a guest here. You do not need permission to sit in your own life. You do not need to stand near the wall waiting to see whether someone else approves of where you belong. My beloved child, you are responsible for what receives access to your heart, your time, your attention, and your peace. For too long you handed keys to people simply because they asked. Some entered gently at first. Some brought warmth for a season. Some needed comfort, and you were glad to give it. But when they created disorder, ignored what mattered to you, or walked away leaving you to repair everything, you blamed yourself for not being a better host. No, a loving heart still needs a door. A generous house still needs wise stewardship. Even Jesus did not give the same access to everyone around him. He loved crowds, taught many, traveled with disciples, and still had moments when he withdrew. My beloved child, love can be open without being unguarded. I want you to learn that. Your worth does not increase when someone enters. Your worth does not decrease when someone leaves. Your worth is not created by attention. Attention only reveals what another person is capable of seeing. You have confused being seen with being valuable. They are not the same. A diamond hidden beneath soil does not become ordinary because no one has uncovered it yet. A song unheard by a crowd does not stop being music. A tree growing far from a busy road does not need applause to become strong. My beloved child, there are parts of you that have been waiting for permission to exist without performance. Your tiredness, your preferences, your questions, your no, your need for rest, your desire to be met halfway, your wish for clear communication instead of constant guessing. None of these make you difficult to love. They make you human. I am teaching you to stop abandoning yourself before anyone else gets the chance. When you know that your place is secure in me, you do not have to audition for belonging. You can enter a room without asking which version of yourself will be easiest for everyone to accept. You can speak truth without turning every disagreement into a threat of abandonment. You can receive affection without immediately calculating how much you must give back to deserve it. This may feel uncomfortable at first. When you stop over-explaining, silence may feel dangerous. When you stop chasing approval, you may wonder whether people will still choose you. When you set a boundary, guilt may arrive before peace. When someone is kind without asking you to earn it, part of you may become suspicious. That is because tension has been familiar for a long time. Your body learned to expect sudden changes. Your mind learned to watch for withdrawal. Your heart learned to prepare for disappointment before joy had time to settle. My beloved child, I do not blame you for learning how to protect yourself. There were seasons when noticing small changes helped you avoid greater hurt. There were moments when caution mattered. But what protected you in one season can become a wall in another. Armor can keep pain out. It can also make tenderness difficult to receive. That is why I am not asking you to throw away discernment. I am asking you to let me separate discernment from fear. Soon you will need to know the difference. One speaks quietly and helps you see clearly. The other rushes through the house, turns every sound into an alarm, and makes you react before truth has entered the room. My beloved child, your worth is being rebuilt, so you will no longer need panic to protect what fear once convinced you was fragile. And that is where I am taking you next. My beloved child, this is where I want you to slow down and notice what has been happening inside you. Your worth is being rebuilt, but the habits that once protected you do not disappear the moment truth enters the room. For a long time, you lived with so much tension that calm began to feel suspicious. When nothing was happening, part of you prepared for bad news. When someone was kind, you searched for the moment their kindness might change. When an opportunity opened, you imagined how it could collapse. When peace arrived, you wondered what you were missing. My beloved child, this does not mean you are ungrateful. It means pain taught your mind to stay ready. There were seasons when watching closely helped you survive. You learned to notice small changes in tone. You learned to read faces before speaking honestly. You learned to prepare for disappointment before disappointment had the chance to surprise you. That awareness may have protected you then, but pain can wear armor for so long that eventually it forgets the battle has changed. I am not asking you to become careless. I am not telling you to ignore warning signs. I am not asking you to trust every person who smiles, every opportunity that appears, or every voice that uses spiritual language. I am teaching you the difference between discernment and panic. Discernment is quiet enough to listen. Panic is loud enough to interrupt everything. Discernment observes. Panic assumes. Discernment asks what is actually happening. Panic writes the ending before the facts have arrived. My beloved child, learn the sound of each one. Discernment may tell you to slow down. Panic tells you that you have only one chance and must decide now. Discernment may tell you to ask another question. Panic tells you that asking will make someone leave. Discernment may notice a pattern. Panic turns one unclear moment into proof that disaster is already coming. Discernment helps you remain present. Panic drags you into a future that does not exist yet. That is why I want you to stop making decisions from rooms that are burning only in your imagination. You have done this before. A message was delayed and your mind built an entire story. A conversation felt different and you prepared for rejection. An opportunity required patience and you assumed the door was closing. Someone needed space and you treated their silence as a verdict about your value. My beloved child, fear often fills missing information with the most painful explanation available. Discernment does not do that. Discernment can say, I do not know yet. There is strength in that sentence. You do not need to know everything immediately in order to remain safe. Think about Samuel when he first heard my voice. He did not understand what was happening at once. He paused. He listened. He learned to recognize what was truly calling him. My beloved child, wisdom often grows through listening twice instead of reacting once. That is the rhythm I want to build in you. When your chest tightens, breathe before you answer. When your mind begins predicting, ask what facts are actually present. When fear says act now or lose everything, give truth enough time to speak. The truth does not become less true because you waited long enough to see clearly. What is good does not need panic to keep it alive. My beloved child, do not break down a door simply because you are afraid it might close. Do not run from something good simply because it arrives more gently than what you have known. You have sometimes mistaken emotional intensity for importance. Chaos kept your heart racing, so calm began to feel empty. Uncertainty kept you alert, so consistency began to feel unfamiliar. You became so used to relationships that made you wonder where you stood that clear communication almost felt strange. But unfamiliar does not mean unsafe. And familiar does not always mean healthy. Remember Jesus in the boat while the storm frightened everyone around him. The waves were real, but fear was not the only reality in the boat. My beloved child, I am not teaching you to deny storms. I am teaching you not to become the storm before the wind has even risen. Peace is not ignorance. Peace is not weakness. Peace is not refusing to look carefully. Peace gives discernment room to work. Panic makes everything look urgent. Discernment separates what needs action from what needs patience. Panic says every open door must be entered quickly. Discernment checks whether the foundation is sound. Panic says every closed door must be forced. Discernment asks whether the closed door is protection. My beloved child, what belongs to me can stand in the light. It can survive questions. It can allow you time. It can make room for honesty. It does not need confusion to maintain control. It does not require you to trade dignity for access. It does not demand that you silence your conscience so someone else can remain comfortable. This does not mean everything good will feel easy. Growth can stretch you. Healthy love can challenge you. A new opportunity can require courage, but courage and panic are not the same. Courage may tremble and still move wisely. Panic rushes because it is terrified of losing control. My beloved child, I want you to notice which voice is moving you. Does the thought make you clearer or more confused? Does it help you tell the truth or make you hide it? Does it allow questions or punish you for having them? Does it move you toward peace or toward obsession? These questions will help you recognize what is happening inside. You do not need to accuse yourself when panic appears. Do not say, I should be healed by now. Do not shame the part of you that still reacts quickly. That part learned its habits while trying to protect you. Thank it for would that teach it that you are no longer required to obey every alarm. My beloved child, you can feel fear without making fear the leader. You can notice discomfort without calling it prophecy. You can remember pain without expecting it to repeat. You can receive something gentle without searching for a hidden blade. This is how discernment becomes clean again. It stops serving panic and starts serving truth. Each time you choose a steady response, instead of an anxious reflex. Another room inside you learns that safety does not have to be earned through vigilance. Your body begins believing what your spirit learns. And now I want to make this practical. You do not need one dramatic act to prove you have learned this lesson. Sometimes faith is quieter. Sometimes faith looks like turning off the screen. Sometimes it looks like sleeping before the answer comes. Sometimes it looks like drinking water, stepping outside, saying no without a long defense, or returning to the small task in front of you. My beloved child, these ordinary choices are not small to me. They are how peace begins to become a way of life, and that is what I want to teach you next. My beloved child, this is where faith becomes quieter than you expected. You have learned that panic does not deserve to lead you, and now I want to show you what trust looks like when no dramatic sign appears. Sometimes faith is simply turning off the screen. Sometimes it is going to bed before the answer comes. Sometimes it is drinking water, breathing slowly, stepping outside, and letting your body understand that it does not have to remain on alert. Sometimes it is choosing not to send one more message just to force clarity from someone who has not given it freely. My beloved child, these choices may look small, but small does not mean meaningless. You have been taught to notice dramatic moments. A door opens, a prayer is answered, a relationship changes, an opportunity arrives. Those moments matter. But much of your future is built somewhere quieter. It is built when no one is watching. It is built when you keep your word to yourself. It is built when you choose rest instead of another hour of fear. It is built when you tell the truth instead of creating a long explanation designed to make everyone comfortable. It is built when you return to the simple task in front of you, rather than spending the evening trying to control what tomorrow might bring. My beloved child, I am present in those moments too. I am not only standing beside miraculous doors. I am with you when you make the bed after a difficult night. I am with you when you finish the work you almost abandoned because your mind was consumed by uncertainty. I am with you when you eat, rest, walk, pray, and care for the body that has carried you through more stress than anyone else may know. Do not separate ordinary faithfulness from spiritual growth. They often belong together. Remember how manna came to Israel in daily portions. They could not gather enough fearfully for every future day and expect it to remain good. They had to receive what was given for that day. My beloved child, you also keep trying to collect certainty for days you have not reached yet. You want enough answers tonight to guarantee that next week will not hurt. You want enough reassurance from someone to make future disappointment impossible. You want enough planning to remove every surprise. But I am teaching you daily bread. Enough truth for today, enough strength for this decision, enough peace for this evening, enough light for the next step. Faith becomes stronger when you stop demanding tomorrow's supply before you have finished living today. That may mean leaving a message unanswered until morning because nothing truly requires an immediate response. It may mean refusing to reread the same conversation for the 10th time in your mind. It may mean turning your phone face down and returning to your own life. It may mean saying, I cannot do that today without writing a paragraph explaining why you deserve to rest. My beloved child, you are allowed to make simple decisions. Not every no needs a defense. Not every pause needs an apology. Not every request must become your responsibility. Not every silence must be filled. Quiet choices teach your heart that you can remain safe without constant management. For a long time, you have treated vigilance like devotion. You stayed awake because you thought caring meant monitoring. You kept checking because you thought love meant staying available. You answered quickly because you feared that delay might be interpreted as rejection. You carried other people's emotions because you thought kindness meant preventing their discomfort. My beloved, childcare does not require self-exhaustion. A loving heart still needs sleep. A faithful person still needs limits. A generous person can receive help. A responsible person can leave something unfinished until tomorrow. This may feel strange because you have often been praised for being the one who handles everything. You became dependable. You became prepared. You became the person others called when something went wrong. And there is goodness in being dependable. But I do not want your strength to become the place where you hide your need. When someone offers help, you do not always have to say, I am fine. Receive it. When someone gives kindness without asking for anything in return, do not immediately search for the debt you must repay. Receive it. When a peaceful hour appears, do not fill it with problems that have not happened. Receive it. My beloved child, receiving is also faith. It says that you do not have to produce every good thing with your own exhausted hands. Think about Mary sitting near Jesus while Martha was overwhelmed by everything that still needed to be done. Service mattered, but there was also a moment when presence mattered more than performance. You need to remember that. There will always be another task, another message, another concern, another possible problem. If you wait until everything is resolved before allowing yourself peace, peace will always remain somewhere in the distance. So, practice it now. Take one ordinary action that agrees with the truth you have learned. Go to sleep on time. Put the screen away. Finish one small responsibility. Prepare a simple meal. Take the walk you keep postponing. Ask for help. Say no gently. Tell the truth plainly. Pray without trying to manufacture a dramatic feeling. My beloved child, these choices begin laying new stones in the house. Every time you refuse to abandon yourself, another part of the foundation becomes steady. Every time you choose truth instead of a story written by fear, something inside you becomes clearer. Every time you rest without guilt, your body learns that peace does not have to be followed by punishment. Every time you receive care without earning it, the old belief that love must be purchased becomes weaker. You may not feel different immediately. That is all right. Roots do not announce themselves while they deepen. A foundation does not look impressive while it is being strengthened. Much of what lasts is built before anyone can see it. My beloved child, I am working in those hidden places. I am softening what disappointment made hard. I am strengthening what repeated uncertainty made fragile. I am teaching your mind not to turn every unknown into a threat. I am bringing truth closer to the habits that once operated automatically. And I am allowing certain people, circumstances, and realities to reveal themselves at the right pace. Some things around you still need time. Some people still need to mature. Some truths still need to become visible. Some habits inside you still need to change so that when something good arrives, fear does not destroy what peace was meant to hold. This is why daily choices matter. They are preparing more than your schedule. They are preparing your capacity. You are learning to live from steadiness, not merely survive another day by holding everything together. My beloved child, what comes next needs more than an open door. It needs a stronger foundation beneath your feet, and that is what I want to build with you next. My beloved child, this is why the quiet choices from yesterday matter so much. Every small act of truth, every moment of rest, every time you stop chasing what fear tells you to chase, is becoming part of a stronger foundation beneath you. You have asked me for something good. You have prayed for change. You have asked for love that does not confuse you, peace that does not disappear overnight, and opportunities that do not require you to betray yourself in order to keep them. But my beloved child, a good gift needs more than an open door. It needs a place where it can remain. That is why I am not only arranging circumstances around you, I am preparing the rooms within you. I am strengthening what disappointment weakened. I am softening what repeated hurt made hard. I am teaching your mind to stop treating every unknown as a warning. I am teaching your heart to receive kindness without immediately asking what will go wrong. This preparation may feel slow because foundations are rarely dramatic. People notice the finished house. They do not always notice the work beneath it. But what is beneath determines what can remain above. My beloved child, I do not want to place something beautiful in your life, only to watch old fear tear it apart because the inner structure was never repaired. Think about Jesus speaking of the house built upon rock. The storm did not prove whether the house looked impressive. The storm revealed what it was standing on. In the same way, what enters your life must be able to stand when emotion changes, when questions arise, when uncertainty appears, and when the first difficult day comes. I am building deeper than excitement. Excitement can begin something. It cannot always sustain it. A promise can awaken hope, but character must carry what hope receives. A new relationship can feel beautiful, but trust must be strong enough to survive honest conversations. An opportunity can open quickly, but wisdom must be strong enough to know how to walk through it. My beloved child, this is why I build slowly in places meant to endure. I am not delaying because I enjoy watching you wait. I am not asking you to prove your faith by remaining disappointed forever. I am preparing capacity. There is a difference between wanting something and being ready to hold it without losing yourself. You may be ready to love, but are you ready to receive love without testing it every day? You may be ready for peace, but are you ready to let a peaceful day remain peaceful without searching for hidden danger? You may be ready for opportunity, but are you ready to stop planning failure before the first step is complete? These are the rooms I am working in. My beloved child, some of your old defenses were built during seasons when uncertainty hurt you deeply. You learned to expect disappointment before disappointment arrived. You learned to hold back joy so loss would hurt less. You learned to prepare an exit before fully entering. You learned to read kindness with suspicion because kindness had changed before. You learned to keep part of your heart near the door in case you needed to leave quickly. I understand why. But what kept you from being surprised by pain can also keep you from being present in something good. That is what I am changing. I am teaching you to stay in the room long enough to see what is actually there. Not blindly, not carelessly, with peace, with discernment, with boundaries, with patience. My beloved child, readiness does not mean you will never feel afraid again. It means fear no longer gets to arrange the furniture. Fear no longer decides where everyone sits. Fear no longer controls which doors remain open. You can notice fear without giving it authority over the whole house. This is how you learn to preserve peace without creating chaos. In the past, calm sometimes made you restless. You looked for something to fix. You sent another message. You asked another question. You reopened a conversation that had finally become quiet. Not because the truth required it, but because stillness felt unfamiliar. My beloved child, a peaceful room does not need to be shaken just to prove that something is happening. Let calm remain calm. Let consistency remain ordinary. Let kindness be received before it is interrogated. You do not need to turn every good thing into a test. When someone shows up consistently, observe the consistency. When someone keeps their word, let that action speak. When a door opens without pressure, walk slowly enough to notice whether peace remains. You do not have to create difficulty just to see whether something will survive it. There will be enough real life to reveal what is strong, my beloved child. I am also preparing people and circumstances outside your sight. Some people need time to mature. Some truths need time to become visible. Some conversations need to happen before you enter the room. Some habits in you need to change before the new season feels safe instead of threatening. You cannot force those things into order. You can only participate in what belongs to you. This is why I keep bringing you back to small choices. Rest. Tell the truth. Keep your boundary. Finish what is yours to finish. Receive help. Stop over-explaining. Let your body leave the state of constant alarm. These are not distractions from the future. They are preparation for it. My beloved child Joseph did not become ready for responsibility in one dramatic afternoon. Long seasons formed patience, wisdom, restraint, and the ability to carry weight without becoming the same kind of person who had wounded him. I am forming things in you that will matter later. You may not recognize their purpose yet, but the patience you are practicing today may protect tomorrow's relationship. The boundary you hold today may protect tomorrow's peace. The rest you allow today may teach your body that love does not require exhaustion. The honesty you practice today may become the foundation for a future where you no longer need to hide. This is why I do not rush what I intend to strengthen. My beloved child, what comes next does not need a perfect version of you. It needs a truthful version of you. A version who can receive without panicking. A version who can stay present without rehearsing abandonment. A version who can accept care without immediately calculating the cost. A version who can enjoy a good moment without turning it into a waiting room for disaster. You are learning preparation is not wasted delay, but love making room for what can remain. And that is where the next lesson begins. Because even as the foundation becomes stronger, part of you is still trying to live tomorrow before tomorrow arrives. You predict in advance. You prepare in advance. You carry burdens in advance. You apologize in advance. You leave in advance. My beloved child, you have practiced tomorrow's pain long enough. Now I want to teach you how to trust tomorrow without rehearsing disaster. My beloved child, you have practiced tomorrow's pain long enough. You have predicted in advance, prepared in advance, carried burdens in advance, apologized in advance, and sometimes even left in advance because you believed that moving before the hurt arrived would keep you from being surprised by it. I understand why you learned this. There were seasons when uncertainty felt dangerous. You did not know who would stay. You did not know when someone's mood would change. You did not know whether a promise would remain true tomorrow. So your mind learned to run ahead. It searched the next room before you entered it. It looked for exits before you sat down. It prepared for rejection while love was still speaking. My beloved child, that habit may have helped you feel prepared, but it has also stolen many moments that were still good. You have stood inside peaceful days while rehearsing painful endings. You have received kindness while wondering when it would be withdrawn. You have heard encouraging news and immediately imagined what could ruin it. You have watched something begin and quietly prepared yourself for its collapse. You told yourself that if you expected the worst, disappointment would hurt less. But fear still collected its payment. You suffered before anything had happened. You carried tomorrow's grief into today's room. You paid emotional costs for losses that had not arrived. My beloved child, I want to teach you another way to face what is ahead. Tomorrow is not an empty room waiting for every terrible possibility to rush inside. I am already there. Before you wake, I am there. Before the phone rings, I am there. Before a plan changes, before an answer arrives, before another person decides what they will do, I am not absent from that moment. You do not walk into tomorrow before me. Think of the people of Israel following the cloud through unfamiliar ground. They could not see the entire route, but they were not asked to create the road themselves. They were asked to follow the light they had for that day. My beloved child, you keep asking for a map of every turn when I am giving you enough light for the next step. You do not need to know every possible outcome in order to be held. You do not need to solve every future conversation tonight. You do not need to imagine every mistake so you can prevent pain before it begins. Planning has a place. Wisdom has a place. Preparation has a place. But rehearsing disaster is not the same as preparation. Preparation asks, what is mine to do? Fear asks, what terrible thing can I imagine next? Preparation helps you act. Fear keeps you circling the same hallway. My beloved child, when tomorrow becomes a theater for catastrophe, come back to today. Look at what is actually in front of you. Is there a real decision to make now? Is there a conversation that truly needs to happen today? Is there a responsibility that belongs to this hour? If not, let tomorrow remain in tomorrow. You have spent too many nights entering battles that did not exist. You lie down, but your mind keeps walking through doors. You imagine what someone might say. You prepare your response. You picture disappointment. You rewrite the plan. You check the phone. Then you check again because sleep feels irresponsible when uncertainty is still awake. My beloved child, sleep is not carelessness. Sometimes sleep is surrender. You can rest because my care does not sleep when your eyes close. When you turn off the light and close your eyes, your body is saying something your anxious mind has struggled to believe. It is saying, I do not have to keep the world standing through the night. It is saying, I can stop watching without everything becoming unsafe. It is saying, God is still present when I am no longer awake to manage every possibility. Remember Jesus sleeping in the boat while the storm moved around him. His rest did not deny the storm. It revealed that fear did not have to become the master of the moment. My beloved child, I want your body to learn that too. You can sleep before everything is solved. You can rest before everyone agrees with you. You can close the door before the answer comes. You can leave a message until morning when no genuine emergency requires your response. I'm not asking you to become passive. I am asking you to stop confusing constant vigilance with faithfulness. You may receive news that makes your heart tremble. I am not promising that every message will say what you hoped. A plan may change, a person may disappoint you, an opportunity may require adjustment, but no surprise can cause me to lose control. No changed plan can remove you from my presence. No person's decision can rewrite the truth of your worth. You may need time to grieve something. You may need wisdom to respond. You may need courage to change direction, but you will not have to face the moment alone. My beloved child, true safety is not the ability to prevent every loss. True safety is knowing that when something changes, you still have ground beneath your feet. You still have wisdom available. You still have truth. You still have the ability to pause. You still have my presence beside you. This is the safety control could never give you. Control makes you feel busy. Trust makes you steady. Control says you must hold every roof beam through the night. Trust says some weight was never meant for your hands. Control searches every window. Trust knows the house can remain standing while you sleep. My beloved child, release tomorrow from the courtroom of your imagination. Do not keep putting the future on trial before it arrives. Do not demand that every new beginning prove immediately that it will never hurt you. Do not punish today's peace for yesterday's disappointment. Let a good day be a good day. Let kindness remain kindness until evidence says otherwise. Let silence be silence until truth gives it meaning. Let tomorrow come without forcing it to wear the face of your past. This will take practice. Some nights your mind will still wander ahead. When it does, bring it back gently. Do not shame yourself. Ask what belongs to today. Do that, then stop. My beloved child, I am teaching you to protect the house without standing guard at every window until dawn. And this brings us to the next lesson. Protection does not mean turning your heart into a fortress. You still need doors. You still need wisdom about who enters, how deeply they enter, and what happens when truth is ignored. A healthy boundary is not a wall that buries love alive. It is a door with hinges and a lock. It knows when to open. It knows when to close. It knows that mercy and wisdom can live in the same house. My beloved child, now that you are learning to trust tomorrow, I want to teach you how to protect your heart without losing its tenderness. My beloved child, now that you are learning to trust tomorrow without rehearsing disaster, I want to teach you how to protect your heart without turning it into a fortress. Protection is not the same as isolation. Wisdom is not the same as hardness. A boundary is not a wall that buries love alive. A mature boundary is a door with hinges and a lock. It knows when to open. It knows when to close. It knows that not everyone who knocks should receive the same access. For a long time, you believed that having a good heart meant remaining available no matter how much something cost you. You thought kindness meant answering every call. You thought forgiveness meant restoring everything. You thought patience meant waiting without limit. You thought love meant giving another chance whenever someone asked. My beloved child, love does not require you to betray the truth. Mercy does not erase consequences. Patience does not mean standing forever in the same painful room while someone repeatedly chooses what hurts you. You can forgive someone and still decide that closeness is no longer wise. You can care about someone and still say no. You can wish them healing without volunteering to be wounded again while they learn. This is not cruelty. This is stewardship. Think about Nehemiah rebuilding the wall around Jerusalem. He did not rebuild because he hated everyone outside the city. He rebuilt because what had been entrusted to him needed protection. My beloved child, there are places in your life that also need wise protection, not because your heart has become cold, but because you finally understand that love needs structure. A door without a lock is not more loving. It is simply unable to protect what is inside. You have sometimes confused unlimited access with compassion. Someone hurts you, then returns with regret, and you feel guilty for needing time. Someone ignores your boundary, then calls you distant when you hold it. Someone benefits from your constant availability, then accuses you of changing when you begin protecting your energy. My beloved child, do not use another person's discomfort as the only measure of whether your boundary is right. Some people will call your limits cold because they were comfortable when you had none. Some will say you are different because the old version of you was easier to reach, easier to persuade, easier to keep waiting. You are different, but different does not automatically mean wrong. You are learning to remain gentle without becoming easy to manipulate. You are learning to be generous without forgetting yourself. You are learning to forgive without returning to live in the same room that once suffocated you. This is maturity, and maturity may feel like loss before it feels like freedom. There may be people who step back when you stop overgiving. There may be relationships that become quieter when you stop doing all the work. There may be conversations that end sooner because you no longer spend hours explaining what you already said clearly. Let that information teach you. My beloved child, a healthy connection does not require your exhaustion in order to survive. You have stood outside certain doors for too long, grateful when they opened only a crack. A little attention felt enormous because you had been hungry for clarity. A small amount of consistency felt precious because uncertainty had become normal. You learned to celebrate the bare minimum because part of you feared that asking for more would cause you to lose everything. I am not leading you into arrogance. I am leading you out of hunger. Hunger can make almost anything look like nourishment. Loneliness can make fragments feel like fullness. Fear can make confusion look better than emptiness. But my beloved child, you were not created to beg for pieces of what should be given with honesty, respect, and mutual care. When someone truly wants to be present, you should not have to spend every day deciphering what you mean to them. When an opportunity is truly aligned with your values, it may require work, courage, and growth, but it should not require you to silence your conscience. When a door is healthy for you, it may stretch you beyond what is familiar, but it should not demand that you disappear in order to fit through its frame. This is how boundaries help you see. They slow access down long enough for character to become visible. They give words time to meet actions. They reveal how someone responds when your no remains no. They reveal whether kindness continues when you are not convenient. They reveal whether someone can respect your pace without punishing you for it. My beloved child, do not use boundaries as weapons either. Do not become silent merely to make someone panic. Do not withdraw only to see whether they will chase you. Do not create tests designed to make another person prove their love. That is still fear trying to control the outcome. A healthy boundary is simpler. It says, "This is what I need in order to remain honest and peaceful." It does not threaten. It does not manipulate. It does not beg. It simply stands. Jesus sometimes withdrew from crowds, even when needs remained around him. He did not allow every demand to become an assignment. My beloved child, you also need the freedom to recognize that not every request deserves your yes, not every emotion belongs in your hands, and not every relationship deserves unrestricted access to your inner life. My beloved child, you are also allowed to let trust rebuild slowly. Forgiveness can happen in your heart before access returns to your life. Reconciliation, when it is wise, needs more than emotion. It needs truth, responsibility, consistency, and time. Do not confuse a sincere apology with a finished repair. A person may regret what happened and still need to learn how to live differently. You may accept their words without immediately restoring the same closeness. You may listen without promising. You may care without reopening every room. This slower pace does not insult love. It gives love a chance to become honest enough to stand in daylight without hiding behind urgency or old guilt. You are not becoming less loving. You are becoming more truthful about what love can and cannot require, and this truth will become especially important soon, because when peace begins to grow, something familiar may knock again. It may come through a voice you know. It may come through an apology that arrives later than you expected. It may come through an opportunity that resembles something you once prayed for. It may come through a wave of longing strong enough to make you wonder whether the past is being restored. My beloved child, not everything that returns is something I am bringing back. Do not be afraid of that truth. Be awake. Old things do not always return wearing the same face. Sometimes they return with softer words, revised promises, or better timing. Your boundary will help you pause long enough to see what is actually standing outside the door, and that is what I want to teach you next. My beloved child, this is what I want you to recognize now. The past does not always return looking like the past. Sometimes it comes back softer. Sometimes it speaks more carefully. Sometimes it arrives with the apology you once prayed, to hear the opportunity you once wanted, or the familiar voice that still knows how to reach the tender places inside you. Do not be afraid. I am not warning you so that you become suspicious of everything. I am teaching you to remain awake. Something old may knock when your peace begins to grow. It may not come carrying the same confusion you remember. It may bring revised promises, kinder words, better timing, or a version of the story that sounds almost like the answer you hoped for. My beloved child, do not decide from the first moment. A powerful feeling is not always confirmation. Longing can be real without being guidance. Relief can be strong without being proof. You may hear the words you wanted for years and feel your heart move toward the door. Pause there. Look beyond the words. Look at the foundation. What has actually changed? What has remained consistent? What happens when you ask a difficult question? What happens when you need time? What happens when you do not immediately restore the access that once existed? My beloved child, genuine growth does not need to rush you past wisdom. What has truly matured can tolerate a slower pace. It does not require you to erase the past in order to prove that you have forgiven. It does not become angry because trust needs time to rebuild. It does not call your caution bitterness simply because your eyes are open now. True change respects what healing has taught you. Think about Joseph when his brothers stood before him years after they had betrayed him. He did not immediately pretend that nothing had happened. He observed. He listened. He allowed time and circumstances to reveal what kind of men they had become. My beloved child, wisdom can leave room for redemption without handing trust back before character has been seen. You can do the same. You do not have to condemn someone in order to observe them. You do not have to close the door in anger. You also do not have to open it because emotion became strong. You can stand at the threshold and let truth have time. This is especially important because the past knows your old reflexes. You once rushed to explain. You once softened your boundary the moment someone sounded hurt. You once treated another person's regret as your responsibility. You once heard "I miss you" and immediately forgot to ask whether anything had actually become safer. My beloved child, missing you and knowing how to love you are not the same thing. Regretting a loss and becoming trustworthy are not the same thing. Feeling lonely and becoming ready for a healthy relationship are not the same thing. Words can begin a conversation. They cannot complete the repair. Watch the fruit that appears after the emotional moment passes. Does humility remain? Does responsibility remain? Does the person keep their word when there is nothing dramatic to gain? Do they respect your no? Do they give you room to think? Do they listen when you describe what hurt, without turning the whole conversation back toward their own discomfort? These things reveal more than intensity does. My beloved child, I am not only concerned with whether something good comes toward you. I care about whether you can keep what is good without abandoning yourself. A new door cannot heal every old habit automatically. A kind person cannot do the inner work you refuse to enter. A better opportunity cannot make you peaceful if you still carry panic into every room. You must participate in what I am building. You must rest when your body tells you it is tired. You must speak honestly when something makes you uneasy. You must stop calling self-betrayal sacrifice. You must allow time to reveal what emotion cannot. And if the person or opportunity before you is truly healthy, it will not collapse because you moved carefully. My beloved child, what is genuine can stand in the light. It can survive questions. It can survive patience. It can survive your need for clarity. Manipulation hates delay because delay gives you time to see. Truth does not fear being seen. That is why I am teaching you to observe without obsessing. Do not spend every hour analyzing. Do not turn discernment into another form of anxiety. Look at patterns, then return to your life. Let time help you. You do not need to solve the entire meaning of a return in one night. There is another reason this lesson matters. Sometimes the old thing does not return because it has changed. Sometimes it returns because you have changed. Your distance is different now. Your peace is stronger. Your attention is no longer circling the same door, and what once had easy access may notice that it no longer does. My beloved child, do not confuse someone's renewed interest with divine restoration. Let renewed interest prove itself through responsibility. Let apology prove itself through changed behavior. Let promises prove themselves through consistency. You do not owe immediate closeness to someone simply because they finally understand what they lost. And if there is sincere change, you still have permission to move slowly. Forgiveness does not place the key back into another person's hand. Mercy does not erase memory. Love does not cancel wisdom. You can hope for someone's healing without making yourself the reward for it. My beloved child, this is how the past loses its disguise. You stop asking only, how does this make me feel? You begin asking, what is this producing? Peace or confusion? Clarity or pressure? Responsibility or excuses? Patience or urgency? Consistency or another brief emotional wave? You are becoming able to recognize the difference. But there is a difficult moment that often follows this kind of clarity. You may choose not to reopen the old door. You may decide to let something remain outside, and suddenly the room inside you feels empty. There is no familiar conversation filling the evening, no cycle to analyze, no person to rescue, no dramatic hope to chase. My beloved child, that emptiness can tempt you. You may wonder whether releasing the old was a mistake. You may want to drag something familiar back into the room simply because the room feels too quiet. Do not confuse cleared space with punishment. A room can be empty because it is being prepared. You do not need to fill it with the first thing that knocks. You do not need to return to old furniture because new furniture has not arrived yet. The space between what you released and what you will receive has a purpose. My beloved child, you have learned how to recognize the past when it returns. Now you must learn how to remain steady when the old is gone and the new has not yet arrived. That empty space is where I am taking you next. My beloved child, this empty space is where I want you to remain for a little while. You have recognized the past when it returns, and now you face something just as difficult as saying no to the old door. The room is quiet. The familiar voice is gone. The cycle is not demanding your attention. There is nothing urgent to fix, no message to decode, no emotional storm telling you what to do next. And because the room is quiet, part of you may assume something is wrong. My beloved child, nothing is wrong with a room simply because it has been cleared. You lived around emotional clutter so long that open space can feel unnatural. You knew where the old furniture sat. You knew which corners to avoid. You knew how to move without touching what hurt. Now some of that has been removed. Do not drag it back inside merely because the floor looks empty. The empty space between what you released and what you will receive is not punishment. It is preparation. It is where your eyes adjust. It is where your breathing slows. It is where you discover life when fear stops moving the furniture. My beloved child, you are used to filling uncertainty quickly. If one relationship ends, you begin wondering who will replace it. If one opportunity closes, you search for another. If a conversation becomes quiet, you feel pressure to create movement. You think something must happen soon or the silence will become proof that you chose wrong. But not every empty place needs to be filled immediately. Sometimes emptiness is the mercy of finally having room. Think about the wilderness between Egypt and the Promised Land. The people had left slavery but had not yet arrived where they were going. That middle ground tested them, because familiar bondage could look safer than unfamiliar freedom. My beloved child, you may understand that feeling. The old thing was painful, but you knew its rhythm. You knew how to survive it. You knew when to expect disappointment. You knew how to explain away inconsistency. You knew how to shrink yourself when tension entered the room. The new has not yet given you a rhythm, so the old can begin to look comforting simply because it is known. Do not confuse known with good. Do not confuse familiar with safe. Do not confuse empty with abandoned. I am still here in the space between. This season teaches you that peace does not need immediate replacement to have value. You do not release one unhealthy connection only so another person can quickly prove that letting go was worth it. You do not close one wrong door as a bargain with me that says I must open another by morning. My beloved child, healing is not a transaction. You let go because truth has become clear. You rest because your body needs rest. You keep a boundary because the boundary protects what is becoming healthy. You tell the truth because truth is right even when it does not produce an instant reward. This is how your foundation becomes stronger. A new person cannot heal the habit of abandoning yourself. A new opportunity cannot remove the fear that makes you prepare for failure. A new season cannot automatically teach you how to receive peace. These are things you must practice with me. You participate in healing. You choose rest when you are tired. You speak honestly when something feels wrong. You let questions remain unanswered when forcing them brings no wisdom. You stop calling self-betrayal sacrifice. You stop calling exhaustion loyalty. You stop calling panic passion. My beloved child, this is why the empty room matters. It gives you somewhere to practice a different way of living before something new enters. If you immediately fill every open space, you may never discover what belongs there. You may choose from loneliness instead of wisdom. You may accept available attention rather than healthy attention. You may say yes because silence feels uncomfortable. You may reopen a door because waiting feels harder than familiar pain. Stay still. Let the room remain open. You are not wasting time. You are learning peace that is not attached to another person's behavior. At first, that peace may feel boring. It may feel too quiet. You may miss the intensity of waiting for messages, reading tone, hoping, worrying, recovering, and hoping again. My beloved child, do not shame yourself if part of you misses the cycle. Your nervous system remembers repetition, even when the repetition hurt. But memory is not instruction. You can notice the pull without obeying it. You can miss someone without returning. You can feel lonely without making loneliness your decision maker. You can want companionship without handing the key to whoever arrives first. Remember Jesus in the wilderness. Hunger was real, but hunger did not decide what he would accept. He did not turn need into permission to take the wrong path. My beloved child, your hunger for connection is not shameful either. Your desire to be loved is not weakness. Your hope for something new is not a problem. But hunger needs wisdom. Loneliness needs patience. Hope needs boundaries. Otherwise, an empty room can make almost anything look like furniture worth keeping. Let me teach you to wait without becoming desperate. Waiting does not mean doing nothing. Use this space. Return to parts of your life that were neglected while the old cycle consumed your attention. Finish the small task. Call the safe friend. Walk outside. Sleep. Pray without demanding an immediate sign. Create something. Read something that gives your mind room to breathe. Take care of your body. Let ordinary life become visible again. My beloved child, you are not standing still in the deepest sense. You are rebuilding capacity. Every peaceful evening you do not turn into a crisis is progress. Every boundary you keep without guilt is progress. Every time you refuse to chase clarity from someone unwilling to give it is progress. Every quiet morning you wake without checking the old door first is progress. This is how the cleared room becomes ready, not through decoration, through steadiness. And as the room becomes steadier, you may begin looking backward. You may remember how long you stayed. You may remember how many chances you gave. You may remember the times you remained silent because you were afraid speaking would cost you love. You may remember returning because loneliness made the old door look like home. Then shame may try to enter. It may ask why you did not leave sooner, why you believed again, why you ignored what seems obvious now. My beloved child, do not let shame furnish the room that healing just cleared. The version of you who stayed was working with the understanding, strength, and healing available at that time. You do not need to hate that version of yourself in order to grow beyond them. You need to understand them. You need to thank them for surviving. And then you need to release them from the responsibility of leading your future. That is the next room I want to enter with you. My beloved child, this is the room I want to enter with you now. You have begun looking backward, and shame is trying to turn what you remember into evidence against you. You see how long you stayed. You remember how many chances you gave. You remember moments when something felt wrong, but you still hoped it might change. And now you ask why you did not leave sooner, why you believed again, why you remained quiet, and why you returned. My beloved child, do not use the light you have today to punish the version of you who was still learning how to see. That version of you was not foolish for wanting love. That version was not weak for hoping words would become actions. That version was not worthless because loneliness made a familiar door look safer than an empty hallway. You were doing the best you knew with the healing clarity, strength, and support you had then. You stayed because you believed promises. You forgave repeatedly because you wanted to love with mercy. You remained silent because you had not yet learned that protecting your voice could also be an act of love. You returned because loneliness can make an old house look warm from a distance, even when you remember how cold some rooms became. My beloved child, I am not standing here to condemn the person you were. I am leading that person out of the room. Condemnation says you should have known better. Healing says now you know more, so you can choose differently. Condemnation keeps you staring at the mistake. Healing teaches you what the mistake revealed. Condemnation makes yesterday a prison. Healing turns yesterday into a teacher. Remember Peter after he denied Jesus. His failure was real. His grief was real. But his story did not end with him standing beside that fire, ashamed of what fear had made him do. He was restored, called forward, and entrusted with responsibility again. My beloved child, I do not restore you by pretending nothing happened. I restore you by refusing to let what happened become the only thing you believe about yourself. You can admit that you ignored signs. You can admit that you overgave. You can admit that you kept explaining after the truth was already clear. You can admit that you confused endurance with faithfulness, and you can do all of that without calling yourself stupid. You were surviving with tools you had learned in earlier rooms. Perhaps you learned that peace meant keeping everyone else calm. Perhaps you learned that love meant staying no matter how tired you became. Perhaps you learned that being needed was the closest thing to being secure. Perhaps you learned to apologize quickly because conflict once felt dangerous. Those habits did not appear from nowhere. Understanding where they came from does not mean you must keep them. I am not asking you to forget your past. I am asking you to stop using it to condemn yourself. Thank them for helping you survive, then let them retire. Someone who survived a storm does not have to build a permanent home inside the storm. You do not need to keep the windows boarded forever because there was once dangerous weather. You do not need to sleep beside the door because someone once left without warning. You do not need to silence yourself because honesty once caused tension. What protected you then may limit you now. If you hate the version of yourself who survived, you may secretly keep living by that version's rules. You will keep trying to prove that you are no longer weak. You may become hard where you were once tender. You may reject help because you do not want to feel dependent. You may leave too quickly because staying once hurt. You may close good doors because an old door taught you fear. Healing is not becoming the opposite of who you were. It is becoming freer. You can remain tender and gain wisdom. You can remain generous and gain boundaries. You can remain hopeful and gain discernment. You can remain loving and stop abandoning yourself. Do not confuse hardness with strength. A locked heart cannot be hurt easily, but it also cannot receive much. I am not teaching you to become unreachable. I am teaching you to become rooted. Think about a tree after a hard season. It strengthens where the storm revealed weakness and keeps growing toward the light. My beloved child, let that be your posture toward your own history. Look honestly, learn carefully, correct what needs correction, but do not curse the person who carried you here. There were nights when that version of you kept going with almost no strength left. There were moments when they chose kindness even while hurting. There were times when they hoped because hope was the only light they could still see. Those qualities were not wrong simply because they were sometimes given to the wrong people. Your capacity to love was not the problem. The absence of boundaries was. Your hope was not the problem. The lack of evidence was. Your patience was not the problem. The belief that patience had no limit was. Your loyalty was not the problem. The habit of giving loyalty where there was no mutual responsibility was. My beloved child, separate the gift from the pattern that misused it. Keep the compassion. Release the self-abandonment. Keep the courage to hope. Release the need to make every promise come true. Keep the softness. Release the fear that softness means endless access. And when regret rises again, speak to yourself differently. Do not say, I wasted all that time. Say, I learned what I could not yet see. Do not say, I should have been stronger. Say, I am becoming stronger now. Do not say, I cannot trust myself because I chose wrongly before. Say, I can trust myself to pause, observe, ask questions, and choose with greater clarity today. My beloved child, self-trust is rebuilt through present choices, not endless punishment for old ones. You are not required to travel backward and rescue your former self from every decision. You are here now. Bring that version of you forward. Tell them they no longer have to earn love through endurance. Tell them they no longer have to stay silent to keep the room peaceful. Tell them they no longer have to run back simply because being alone feels unfamiliar. Then let me lead both of you towards something new. But there is another fear we must face. Once familiar pain no longer leads you, unfamiliar goodness can feel frightening. A peaceful person may seem harder to trust than a chaotic one because you do not know the pattern yet. A healthy opportunity may make you hesitate because there is no old script to follow. My beloved child, part of you may still prefer what hurts predictably over what feels good but unknown. That does not make you broken. It means survival became familiar. Now I want to teach you how to stop mistaking familiar pain for safety and how to face the fear of unfamiliar good. My beloved child, this is the fear I want you to face now. Familiar pain can feel safer than unfamiliar good, not because the pain is better, but because your body already knows its language. You know what disappointment feels like. You know how silence changes a room. You know how to brace yourself when warmth begins to disappear. But goodness that does not follow the old pattern can leave you uncertain. You do not know what to prepare for. You do not know where the hidden danger is. You do not know when the kindness will change. So instead of relaxing, part of you starts looking for an exit. My beloved child, I understand why. There were times when you stepped forward with open hands and returned carrying pieces of yourself. There were promises that made you believe only for silence, to make you question everything. There were doors that opened just enough to give you hope, then closed before you understood what happened. That history trained you. It taught you that predictable pain might be easier to survive than unexpected disappointment. So when something good begins, the old protector inside you does not celebrate first, it inspects. It asks what the price will be. It searches the past for evidence that the same ending is coming again. It prepares to leave before there is any reason to go. My beloved child, do not shame that part of you. It was formed while trying to keep you safe. But what once sheltered you from the rain can become the roof that keeps you from seeing the clear sky. You are not being asked to destroy your caution. You are being asked to let caution mature. There is a difference between wisdom and fear, wearing wisdom's clothes. Fear says, if this feels good, something must be hidden. Wisdom says, let me observe what is actually here. Fear says, do not enjoy this because you may lose it. Wisdom says, I can receive this moment and still keep my eyes open. Fear says, create distance before they can hurt you. Wisdom says, let consistency reveal what words cannot. My beloved child, this struggle often appears in small choices. Someone offers you a sincere compliment, and you immediately make yourself smaller. They say something kind about your strength, your work, your heart, or the way you carry yourself, and you answer by dismissing it. You think humility means refusing to receive anything good. Sometimes it is fear saying, do not let anyone see that you hope to be valued. A healthy opportunity appears, and you delay responding because you are afraid of appearing too eager. You tell yourself you are being careful, but beneath the caution you may be protecting yourself from the vulnerability of wanting something. You establish a boundary, then break it the moment someone looks disappointed. You hear the change in their voice, see the tension in their face, and immediately feel responsible for making the room comfortable again. My beloved child, notice what is happening. The present moment may be safe, but your body is answering an older room. Sometimes you test people who have not harmed you. You become quiet to see whether they will chase. You pull back to see whether they will notice. You ask questions while already expecting a particular answer. You create a little distance so you can measure whether they will leave like someone else did. My beloved child, these tests may feel like protection, but they can make a new relationship carry a trial it did not create. I want you to see that without condemnation. The new door does not close because I changed my mind. Sometimes it only becomes harder to see because old objects have been dragged back into the hallway, an old expectation, an old defense, an old belief that love must be tested before it can be trusted, an old fear that peace is only the quiet before abandonment. You do not need to throw these things at yourself in anger. You need to recognize them. Think about Thomas after the resurrection. He wanted evidence before allowing hope to rise again. His hesitation did not make him unworthy of love. He had seen enough pain to know that hope could feel costly. Jesus did not shame him for needing to see. He met him where doubt and longing stood together. My beloved child, I will meet you there too. I am not offended by your need for clarity. I am not asking you to trust blindly. I am teaching you how to receive evidence without demanding guarantees. No human relationship can provide. You can ask questions. You can watch patterns. You can move slowly. But you do not need to punish something good simply because something painful came before it. Self-protection does not make you difficult to love. It reveals that there were seasons when vulnerability did not feel safe. You learned to read the room before entering it. You studied expressions before speaking honestly. You hid needs before someone could call them burdens. You became skilled at hearing the smallest change in tone. You noticed delays between messages. You recognized when warmth became distance. Those skills helped you prepare when others were not honest enough to say what was changing. But my beloved child, the same sensitivity can keep you standing guard when there is no intruder. Then every sound becomes an alarm. Every silence becomes rejection. Every unclear moment becomes evidence that you are about to be abandoned. I am not removing your sensitivity. I am restoring it to its proper place. Sensitivity can serve truth without serving fear. You can notice a change without writing the entire ending. You can feel discomfort without deciding danger is present. You can receive kindness without immediately searching for betrayal. You can let someone be different from the people who came before them. My beloved child, this is how unfamiliar good becomes less frightening, not because you force yourself to trust, because you remain present long enough to gather truth. You let what is healthy prove itself through consistency. You let what is unhealthy reveal itself without needing to predict it first. You stop asking the future to confess before it has done anything wrong. That is freedom beginning to take shape. You are allowed to discover that not every moment contains a trap. You are allowed to be surprised by consistency, patience, honesty, and care, without treating your surprise as evidence that danger must be near. But I know the first reflex may still come quickly. Your chest may tighten, your mind may race. You may want to explain, withdraw test, or prepare for loss. When that happens, I do not want you to obey the first reflex automatically. I want you to pause. Ask yourself what is truly happening. Ask what facts belong to this moment. Ask what part of your fear belongs to another season. My beloved child, the past can speak loudly through the present if you never stop long enough to separate them. That pause is where your new response begins. And that is what I want to teach you next. My beloved child, this is where your new response begins. Not with a perfect feeling, not with instant certainty, with a pause. For a long time, your first reflex carried more authority than it deserved. Your chest tightened, and you assumed danger. Someone answered later than usual, and your mind wrote the ending. A tone felt different, and you began preparing an explanation before anyone had accused you of anything. My beloved child, I understand why. The past trained you to react quickly because quick reactions once felt like protection. You learned to send the message before silence became rejection. You learned to explain before someone misunderstood you. You learned to leave emotionally before anyone could leave you. But now I am teaching you to separate what is happening from what has happened before. That separation begins with a pause. Not a pause meant to punish another person. Not silence used as a weapon. Not distance designed to make someone chase you. A healthy pause has a different purpose. It gives truth enough room to speak before fear finishes the story. When your chest tightens, breathe before you answer. When someone takes longer to respond, do not immediately decide what the delay means. When an opportunity requires patience, do not automatically call the waiting rejection. When a conversation feels different, do not assume the difference is proof that abandonment has begun. My beloved child, ask one simple question. What is actually happening right now? Then ask another. What part of this fear belongs to another time? You may be surprised by the answer. Sometimes the present moment is asking for wisdom. Sometimes the present moment is doing nothing dangerous at all while an old memory is sounding the alarm. You do not have to obey every alarm. Remember David when he refused to strike Saul in the cave even though fear, opportunity, and pressure were all present. He paused long enough to remember who he wanted to be before acting on what the moment seemed to offer. My beloved child, a pause can protect your character from an impulse. It can also protect your peace from a memory. You have spent years reading thoughts instead of observing actions. A face changes, and you guess what someone is thinking. A message becomes shorter, and you decide what they feel. A delay appears, and you assume you know why. This kind of guessing makes the mind feel busy, but it does not always make the truth clearer. Observe what is visible. Listen to what is actually said. Watch what someone repeatedly does. Let patterns reveal themselves. You do not have to become a detective of every silence. My beloved child, when there is no genuine danger, allow a night to pass. Sleep before answering the question that panic says must be solved immediately. Walk before sending the message. Pray before interpreting. Return to the conversation after your body has remembered that it is safe to breathe. Truth will still be truth in the morning. What is genuine will not become false because you waited long enough to see clearly. And the right door will not disappear merely because you refuse to rush through it in panic. Fear hates this kind of pause because fear wants immediate control. It tells you that if you do not act now, you will lose your chance. It tells you that if you do not explain now, someone will misunderstand you forever. It tells you that if you do not fix the tension now, the relationship will collapse. My beloved child, that is fear, asking you to become responsible for outcomes you cannot guarantee. You can be responsible for honesty. You can be responsible for your tone. You can be responsible for whether you speak with respect. But you cannot control another person's interpretation, timing, readiness, or choice. The pause reminds you of that. It returns each responsibility to the right place. Sometimes you will discover that your fear was pointing to something real. A pattern may truly be changing. Someone may truly be withdrawing. An opportunity may truly be wrong for you. A pause does not stop you from seeing those things. It helps you see them without becoming consumed by them. Discernment does not require panic to be accurate. My beloved child, if something is wrong, clarity can survive your breathing. If something is right, goodness can survive your patience. You do not need fear to make truth stronger. This is how the past loses some of its power over the present. You stop letting yesterday provide every definition. A delayed reply is no longer automatically the same silence that once hurt you. A disagreement is no longer automatically the beginning of abandonment. Someone needing space is no longer automatically proof that you are unwanted. A quiet evening is no longer automatically the warning before a storm. You begin allowing each moment to become itself. That may feel unfamiliar. For years you have carried old evidence into new rooms. You have entered present conversations with yesterday already seated at the table. You have looked at new opportunities through windows cracked by old disappointment. My beloved child, I am helping you clean the glass, not so you become naive, so you can see what is actually there. You can say, "This reminds me of something painful," without saying, "Therefore the same pain is definitely happening again." You can say, "I feel afraid," without saying, "Therefore I must obey fear." You can say, "I need more information," without forcing an answer before it is ready. This is maturity growing quietly, and every pause strengthens it. The first pause may last only a few breaths. Later you may let an hour pass. Sometimes you may need a full night. The length is not the point. The point is that your first reflex is no longer the final authority. My beloved child, there is freedom in that. You no longer have to answer every feeling with action. You no longer have to turn every uncertainty into a decision. You no longer have to solve every uncomfortable moment immediately. You can wait, you can observe, you can pray, you can return when your mind is clearer. You are learning that waiting is not weakness. It is the space where old fear loses momentum and present truth becomes easier to recognize. Each time you pause without manipulating, chasing, or disappearing, you teach your heart that peace can lead. And as you learn this, another fear may become visible. It is quieter than panic, but it has shaped many of your choices. The fear of hope. You once called it realism. You told yourself that expecting nothing would keep you from disappointment. You thought that if you prepared for the worst, you could remain in control. You believed that if you refused to name what you wanted, losing it would hurt less. My beloved child, that fear has also been living in the hallway. Now that the past no longer has to control the present, I want to teach you how to hope without becoming blind, how to remain open without abandoning discernment, and how to let hope grow eyes and boundaries. My beloved child, now that you can pause before the past controls the present, I want to speak to the fear that often appears next. It is the fear of hope. You have called it realism. You told yourself that if you expected nothing, disappointment would have less power over you. If you refused to name what you wanted, losing it would not hurt as deeply. If you prepared for the worst, you believed you could keep control. But my beloved child, look at what that strategy has cost you. You still suffered. You simply suffered before anything happened. You paid the emotional price for losses that had not arrived. You turned peaceful days into waiting rooms for disaster. You rejected small joys because you feared that enjoying them would make future sorrow feel heavier. You held back gratitude because part of you believed happiness was dangerous when it could be taken away. I understand why you learned this. Hope once opened your heart. Someone made a promise and you believed it. Someone spoke warmly and you allowed yourself to imagine a future. An opportunity appeared and you let yourself become excited. Then something changed. The promise weakened. The warmth became inconsistent. The opportunity disappeared. So you blamed hope for the pain. But my beloved child, hope was not what wounded you. Dishonesty wounded you. Inconsistency wounded you. Promises without foundation wounded you. Silence after intimacy wounded you. Being asked to trust what had not yet been proven wounded you. Do not condemn the light because someone once led you toward a window and then walked away. I am not asking you to become naive again. I am teaching you a wiser hope. A hope with eyes, a hope with boundaries, a hope that can breathe while evidence gathers. You do not have to close your heart completely in order to protect it. You can open one step at a time. You can receive a kind word without giving away every key. You can enjoy a good conversation without deciding that it must become your future. You can allow someone to show change without erasing what happened before. You can notice possibility without calling possibility certainty. My beloved child, that is not weak faith. That is mature hope. Remember Abraham waiting through years that did not immediately resemble what had been promised. His journey included questions, mistakes, impatience, and moments when he tried to help the future arrive faster. Yet I kept teaching him that trust was not the same as control. You are learning the same distinction. Faith does not require you to believe every word spoken in the name of love. Faith does not ask you to ignore patterns. Faith does not tell you to call confusion a miracle. Faith does not demand that you silence your questions so someone else can feel trusted. My beloved child, faith does not remove discernment. Faith releases discernment from panic. When panic leaves the room, you can see something as it actually is. You do not need to magnify a small kindness into a lifelong promise. You do not need to reduce a peaceful moment into hidden danger simply because calm feels unfamiliar. You can let a thing be what it is while time reveals what it becomes. This is freedom. You can say this feels good and I will remain observant. You can say I hope this grows and I will still keep my boundaries. You can say I care about this person and I will still watch whether their actions match their words. You can say I want this opportunity and I will still ask whether it requires me to betray my conscience. Hope and wisdom can live in the same house. My beloved child, stop forcing yourself to choose between being completely guarded and completely open. There is another way. You can open the curtains without removing the locks. You can let fresh air into the room without giving everyone a key. You can welcome light without pretending that darkness never existed. That is the kind of hope I am restoring. At first, it may feel vulnerable. You may notice yourself waiting for the moment when something goes wrong. You may hear a compliment and wonder what the person wants. You may experience consistency and feel suspicious because you are accustomed to having to earn attention. You may begin enjoying something good and suddenly imagine losing it. When that happens, do not accuse yourself. Pause. Ask whether there is evidence of danger or only a memory of danger. Ask whether the present deserves the fear that the past is trying to place upon it. My beloved child, you do not need to predict pain in order to be prepared for life. If disappointment comes, I will still be with you. If a door closes, you will still have wisdom. If someone reveals that they are not ready, you will still have worth. If an opportunity changes, your future will not disappear with it. True safety is not never being disappointed. True safety is knowing disappointment no longer has the authority to define you. This allows hope to become peaceful. You can enjoy today without demanding that today guarantee tomorrow. You can be grateful for what is present without turning gratitude into attachment. You can receive affection without making it your identity. You can dream without making the dream your source of worth. My beloved child, this kind of hope has roots. It does not chase every sign. It does not panic when something takes time. It does not force a door because fear says another one may never appear. It waits for fruit. It respects truth. It keeps the heart soft and the eyes open. Think of Ruth walking into a field without knowing how her story would unfold. She did not need the entire future explained before taking the next faithful step. She moved with humility, courage, and attention to what was actually in front of her. You can do that too. Let hope walk beside discernment. Let desire sit beside patience. Let joy exist without demanding certainty. Let possibility remain possibility until time gives it a stronger name. My beloved child, you are not betraying yourself by hoping. You betray yourself only when hope becomes an excuse to ignore truth. And now that hope is becoming wiser, another habit will become easier to see. Your need for control. You have sometimes accused yourself of being controlling because you wanted every detail known, every reaction predicted, every possible ending prepared. But control did not always grow from arrogance. It often grew from seasons when no one told you what was happening. You had to guess. You had to prepare. You had to manage the emotional temperature of the room before conflict arrived. You learned to apologize before knowing whether you had done anything wrong. You learned to carry what belonged to others because uncertainty felt more frightening than exhaustion and responsibility seemed safer than helplessness. My beloved child, I understand where that came from. But now it is time to return each responsibility to its rightful owner, and that is what I want to teach you next. My beloved child, this is where I want you to loosen your grip. You have learned to hope with eyes open, but part of you still believes that safety depends on knowing what everyone will do before they do it. I understand why control became familiar. There were seasons when no one explained what was happening. You had to guess. You watched expressions, measured tone, prepared for conflict, and tried to sense what might go wrong before anyone said a word. You learned to apologize before you knew whether you had done anything wrong. You learned to carry tension for the whole room. You offered solutions before others had faced their own responsibility. You tried to keep everything calm because uncertainty felt more dangerous than exhaustion. My beloved child, some of those habits helped you survive difficult days. But survival habits can become heavy when they are asked to lead a peaceful life. Control tells you that if you release your grip, everything will fall apart. It tells you that if you stop managing another person's emotions, the relationship will collapse. It tells you that if you do not predict every outcome, you will be caught unprepared. But surrender does not mean becoming careless. Surrender means returning each responsibility to its rightful owner. Your part is real. Speak honestly, prepare wisely, keep your word, notice patterns, ask questions when something is unclear, honor the boundaries you have already learned to set. Choose what aligns with truth, peace, and the wisdom I have been forming in you. My beloved child, that is enough responsibility for your hands. Another person's part belongs to them. They must tell the truth. They must accept the consequences of their choices. They must demonstrate consistency. They must manage their own emotions. They must decide whether they are willing to grow. You cannot do those things for them. You can encourage someone. You can forgive someone. You can explain your needs. You can offer grace. But you cannot manufacture another person's honesty. You cannot make them become ready. You cannot carry their repentance until it turns into change. When you do another person's part for them, you may believe you are helping, but sometimes you are preventing them from carrying the weight that could teach them responsibility. And while they remain small, you become exhausted. My beloved child, then there is my part. There are timings you cannot force. There are doors you cannot open with enough effort. There are conversations you cannot arrange perfectly. There are outcomes anxiety cannot produce. There are things moving beyond your sight that no amount of checking will make happen faster. Those things belong with me. Remember Moses when the burden of leading became too heavy for one person. He was not meant to carry every need alone. Wisdom required shared responsibility. My beloved child, strength is not proven by carrying what was never assigned to you. You have lived as if the whole house depends on one pair of tired hands. You inspect every door. You listen for every sound. You check whether everyone is comfortable. You try to repair every crack before anyone notices. Then you wonder why you cannot rest. Return the keys to the rooms that were never placed under your authority. You do not need to stand watch at every doorway throughout the night. I am still awake. You may ask, what if I let go and something painful happens? My beloved child, I will not tell you that every person will make the right choice. I will not promise that every plan will unfold exactly as you hope. I will not promise that every door you desire will open. That is not where true safety comes from. True safety is knowing that if something changes, you will still have ground beneath your feet. You will still have wisdom available. You will still be able to pause before reacting. You will still have truth to guide you. And you will still have my presence beside you. Control tries to prevent every possible loss. Trust teaches you that loss does not have the power to erase who you are. My beloved child, you have confused control with safety, because control makes you feel like you are doing something. It gives your hands a task. It gives your mind a problem to solve. It gives anxiety somewhere to run. But movement is not always progress. Sometimes control keeps you so busy managing possibilities that you cannot hear what is being asked of you. Peace is different. Peace does not mean there is nothing to do. Peace is the place from which you can recognize what is truly yours to do. From peace you can speak clearly. From peace you can wait. From peace you can leave when the truth has become clear. From peace you can stay when fear wants to run. From peace you can let another person carry their own responsibility without rescuing them from every consequence. This will feel uncomfortable at first. You may feel guilty when someone is disappointed. You may feel restless when you do not send the extra message. You may feel selfish when you stop fixing a problem that does not belong to you. My beloved child, discomfort does not automatically mean you are doing something wrong. Sometimes discomfort is simply what responsibility feels like when it is being returned to the right hands. Think about Jesus when people demanded answers, miracles, attention, and immediate action. He did not allow every demand to decide his movement. He knew what belonged to his assignment and what did not. You also need that clarity. Not every request is your responsibility. Not every mood in the room is yours to improve. Not every misunderstanding needs another explanation. Not every person's disappointment requires you to change your boundary. My beloved child, release the belief that being good means being responsible for everyone's comfort. You are responsible for honesty. You are responsible for kindness. You are responsible for the choices you make. But kindness is not control. Love is not management. Faithfulness is not carrying another adult's consequences for them. Let people reveal who they are when you stop doing their part. Let time reveal whether words become actions. Let consequences teach what you're rescuing once interrupted. And let me hold what you cannot control. This is surrender with your eyes open. It is not weakness, it is ordered strength. Your hands become free for what is actually yours. Your mind becomes quieter. Your body begins learning that the house will not collapse simply because you stopped holding every wall. My beloved child, there is another reason this matters. When you stop controlling everything, you may notice how often your worth has been tied to being needed. You may realize that usefulness made you feel secure. Praise made you feel seen. Being strong made you feel valuable. Being agreeable made you feel easier to keep. That hunger has quietly shaped more choices than you realized. And now that responsibility is returning to its proper place. I want to show you why your worth can no longer depend on validation. That is what we will face next. My beloved child, now that responsibility is returning to its proper place, I want you to notice another pattern that has quietly shaped the way you see yourself. For a long time, you did not only ask what is mine to carry, you also asked, what must I become so that people will keep me close? You learned to be useful. You learned to be strong. You learned to be agreeable. And somewhere along the way, those good qualities became tied to a deeper fear. If I am useful, maybe I will be needed. If I am strong, maybe I will be respected. If I am easy to please, maybe I will not be left. My beloved child, that is how validation can become a hidden source of worth. Perhaps attention came most often when you were helping. Perhaps praise came when you solved a problem. Perhaps people noticed you when you stayed calm, carried more, worked harder, or made yourself convenient. So you learned to enter a room and quietly ask, what version of me does everyone need today? The peaceful one, the capable one, the listener, the rescuer, the person who never needs much. You became skilled at adjusting yourself so other people would remain comfortable. But my beloved child, when you constantly change shape to earn belonging, you may be surrounded by people and still never feel that you have come home. You overgive because you want to be unforgettable. You over-explain because you want to be understood. You do extra work because being irreplaceable feels safer than simply being loved. You say yes before checking whether you have strength. You offer solutions before anyone asks. You carry burdens that were never assigned to you because being needed briefly quiets the fear of being unwanted. I understand why. I do not condemn you for learning to survive through usefulness. But usefulness cannot become the foundation of your identity. People change. Their moods change. Their needs change. Their ability to recognize your value changes. If your worth is built from what other people hand you, you will always feel the ground moving beneath your feet. My beloved child, I am anchoring you deeper than that. Remember Jesus before his public ministry began. Before crowds gathered, before miracles were seen, before people praised or criticized him. My love was already spoken over him. His identity was not created by applause. Let that truth reach you. You do not become worthy because someone notices. You do not become valuable because someone thanks you. You do not become lovable because you were useful today. And you do not lose your worth when someone is disappointed that you cannot keep doing everything. My beloved child, you are allowed to do good without being seen. You are also allowed not to do everything. You are allowed to leave a task for someone else when it belongs to them. You are allowed to disappoint people when their expectations require you to betray your own limits. You are allowed to say, I cannot do that without turning the sentence into a long defense. This may feel uncomfortable. Part of you may fear that simple truth makes you selfish. Part of you may want to add another paragraph. You may explain your schedule, your exhaustion, your motives, and your good intentions, just to make sure no one thinks badly of you. My beloved child, stop at the truth when the truth is enough. You do not need to manage every opinion about you. You can be kind without controlling how kindness is interpreted. You can say no without writing an argument for why your no deserves respect. You can let someone misunderstand you for a while if explaining further would require you to abandon what you already know is right. This is not carelessness. It is freedom from the courtroom of approval. You can be deeply loving without making yourself responsible for every person's emotional comfort. Praise must also return to its proper place. When someone honors you, receive it. You do not need to reject every compliment in order to appear humble. You can say thank you. You can let a kind word reach you. But do not make praise your source of life. If applause becomes oxygen, silence will always feel like suffocation. My beloved child, let appreciation be a gift, not a foundation. You were loved before the compliment arrived. You remain loved when the room is quiet. You are still valuable when no one is watching what you do. Think about David tending sheep before anyone saw a king. Hidden work was still forming him. The field did not become meaningless because there was no audience. Much of your healing will happen the same way. No one may applaud when you stop over-explaining. No one may notice when you allow another person to carry their own consequence. No one may celebrate when you decline something that would once have exhausted you. But each of those choices removes another old nail from the wall where approval used to hang. The wall will not collapse. It will become clean enough to hold a truer picture of who you are. A person who knows they are loved before they prove anything. A person who can serve without becoming a servant to everyone else's expectations. A person who can help without needing to be indispensable. A person who can rest without believing rest makes them less valuable. My beloved child, the next time you feel the urge to explain beyond what is necessary, pause at the simple truth. The next time you want to say yes only because you are afraid someone will think less of you, give yourself time before answering. The next time you feel compelled to rescue someone, ask whether they have done their part. The next time praise arrives, receive it without turning it into your identity. The next time silence follows your boundary, do not rush to fill it with guilt. These are quiet ways of returning your worth to a deeper foundation. And as you do this, you may notice something else becoming clearer. There is a person, a relationship, an opportunity, or a situation that has been making your heart waver. You know what I am touching, even if I have not named it. There are moments when it seems different, then the fog returns. There are words that awaken hope, but actions have not yet built enough foundation beneath them. There may be closeness without clarity. There may be care without consistency. There may be promises without enough time to know what they can carry. My beloved child, I am not telling you to close the door immediately. I am also not telling you to hand over the key. I am asking you to observe. Now that your worth does not have to be earned through another person's approval, you can look more clearly at what is standing before you. Truth can withstand questions. What is good can withstand time. And what deserves a place in your life will need more than words to prove that it can remain. That is what I want to teach you next. My beloved child, now, I want you to look carefully at the door standing before you. You have learned that your worth does not depend on approval, so you no longer need to rush toward anything simply because it makes you feel chosen. There may be a person, relationship, opportunity, or situation making your heart waver. There are words that awaken hope, but actions have not yet built enough foundation beneath them. There may be warmth without clarity. There may be care without consistency. There may be promises without enough time to know what they can carry. My beloved child, I am not telling you to close the door immediately. I am also not telling you to hand over the key. I am asking you to observe. You are not required to rush simply because something finally resembles the answer you once wanted. Let peace remain beside your hope again today. What is good can withstand time. Truth can withstand questions. What is genuine does not need you to abandon discernment so that it can feel secure. Do not call one emotional conversation transformation. Do not call one apology a rebuilt foundation. Do not call one beautiful promise proof that the old pattern has ended. Let actions remain long enough for character to become visible. Watch what happens when you are not convenient. Watch what happens when you maintain your boundary. Watch what happens when you do not rescue someone from the consequences of their choices. My beloved child, those moments reveal more than speeches do. If someone is truly growing, they will not only ask you to trust them, they will live in a way that gives trust fertile ground in which to grow. They will understand why you need time. They will not demand that you forget what happened before trust has been rebuilt. They will not use tears to make you feel guilty. They will not use anger to make you surrender your boundary. They will not become distant simply to punish you for moving carefully. They will not use spiritual language to pressure you into reopening a door that wisdom is still examining. My beloved child, true repentance can tolerate consequences. True change can respect a slower pace. Think about Zacchaeus. His words were not the only evidence that something had changed within him. His response became practical. He was willing to make restitution. He allowed change to touch his choices, his money, and the way he treated people. That is the kind of fruit you are learning to notice. Look for fruit. Does responsibility grow? Does honesty remain? Does respect survive disappointment? Does consistency continue after the emotional moment passes? You do not need to condemn anyone. You need to see clearly. Mercy does not require you to pretend that a weak foundation is strong. Compassion does not require you to build your future on words that have not yet become a life. And sometimes, my beloved child, the door before you is not a person. It may be an opportunity. Something may look attractive because it promises to end your waiting quickly. But ask what the opportunity requires from you. Does it require you to hide part of the truth? Does it ask you to ignore warning signs that are already visible? Does it pressure you to decide before you have had enough time to pray, investigate, and understand the responsibility involved? Does it ask you to silence your conscience in order to gain access? My beloved child, something exciting can still be wrong for you. Learn the difference. What is right may stretch you. It may ask you to grow. It may require effort, but it will not need deception in order to remain attractive. Manipulation hates light. Truth can stand under it. Fear says, take this now, or you will never receive another chance. Wisdom says, look carefully. My voice may urge you forward, but my urgency is not panic. When I lead you, clarity can remain beside courage. You may feel nervous, but you do not have to fall apart in order to obey. My beloved child, something may soon make you feel the door has opened completely. A message may arrive. A phone call may come. Someone may speak words you waited a long time to hear. An opportunity may suddenly become real. Do not stay outside merely because you are afraid, but do not rush inside merely because you have waited so long. Place your hand on the handle with peace. Check the hinges. Let light enter the room. Ask the questions that need to be asked. Then listen not only to the answers, listen to how the answers are given. Is there respect? Is there accountability? Is there patience? Is what is being said consistent with what was said before? Can your questions exist without punishment? Can your pace exist without pressure? My beloved child, examining the foundation is not a lack of faith. A wise builder looks at the stones before placing weight upon them. And if something cannot survive honest examination, then clarity has served you well. You are learning to enter what is good with your eyes open, not with a wound covering your vision and calling itself trust. This is why I have taken you through every room we have visited together. I have not only been preparing a door, I have been preparing the person who will decide whether that door should open. My beloved child, this is the deeper work. The greatest hidden change has not simply been changing someone else's mind. It has been restoring your power to choose. In the past, one message could determine the direction of your entire day. Someone's silence could make you question your value. A promise could make you overlook every warning sign. A door left slightly open could send you running back. But that power is fading. You are learning to listen without being swept away. You are learning to see without losing yourself. You are learning to care without giving fear authority over your decisions. This is a quiet miracle. Memory can still speak, but it does not have to command you. Emotion can still rise, but it does not have to give orders. Hope can still live, but it no longer has to close its eyes. My beloved child, you are becoming someone who can stand before a door and choose from truth rather than hunger. That is why the final step will not be about waiting for an even greater sign. It will be about using the clarity you already have. Some doors will need to remain closed. Some old rooms will no longer be allowed to call you back in the same way, and the key in your hand will no longer be a symbol of fear. It will become a symbol of wise freedom. My beloved child, that is where I am taking you next. You have tested the door by truth and time. Now I want to teach you how to close what is finished and walk forward free. My beloved child, this is the final step I want you to take. You have learned to test the door by truth and time. You have learned peace can remain while questions stay unanswered. You have learned that your worth does not rise or fall with another person's attention. Now the key in your hand has a new purpose. It is not there to keep you circling old rooms. It is not there to help you reopen what has already taught you enough. It helps you choose what belongs in your life and what no longer does. My beloved child, healing does not mean you forget everything. It means memory no longer decides for you. Healing does not mean you never feel emotion. It means emotion no longer gives you orders. Healing does not mean the old door disappears. It means you can walk past it without feeling compelled to knock. One day you may hear a familiar name. You may remember a conversation. You may pass a place connected to an old season. And something inside you will be quieter than before. There may still be sadness. There may still be questions. But there will no longer be a burning room in your chest demanding that you return. My beloved child, that is freedom. I do not heal you by erasing your history. I place your history where it belongs. It becomes a teacher instead of a jailer. You can remember what happened without inviting it to become your future. You can honor what you learned without building your identity around what hurt. This is why I want you to stop reopening trials I have already helped you close. Stop summoning the past as a witness against tomorrow. Stop asking people who could not recognize your worth whether you deserve to be loved. Stop using old mistakes as evidence that you cannot be trusted with new responsibility. You have learned, you have seen. You are no longer standing in the dark room without knowing where the door is. The light has entered, your hand has found the key. My beloved child, what remains is not another sign. What remains is whether you will use the clarity you already have. Some doors need to close now, not with hatred, not with a final argument, not with a speech designed to make someone regret losing you. Some doors close quietly. You turn the key, you remove your hand from the handle, and you walk away. That may mean you stop checking. It may mean you stop responding immediately. It may mean you remove a point of access that continually pulls your mind backward. It may mean you hold one clear no without explaining it again. It may mean you stop allowing an apology without change to buy the same access it once had. My beloved child, silence after truth has been spoken is not cruelty. Sometimes silence is simply where consequences are allowed to do their work. You do not need to stand outside the closed door arguing with what is already clear. Let it remain closed. Then do something equally important. Prepare the room ahead. Do not spend all your energy closing the past and forget to build the life that comes next. Choose one small act of preparation. Finish the task you have delayed. Clear one corner of your space. Take care of something your future self will need. Call someone safe and tell the truth. Go to bed on time. Take a walk. Pray without demanding a dramatic answer. One action of closing and one action of preparation are enough for today. You do not need to rebuild your entire life tonight. Remember how the Israelites crossed the Jordan and placed stones as a reminder of what had happened. They did not need to live forever at the riverbank. The memory was meant to strengthen the journey, not replace it. Let your past become that kind of marker. Remember, learn, then keep walking. Tonight, when you turn off the light, do not walk through every room in your mind, checking each door. Do not stand at the window imagining everything that could happen tomorrow. Place the key beside me. The house is not unattended while you sleep. The people you love do not fall beyond my care because you close your eyes. Tomorrow does not require you to stay awake all night in order to be ready. My beloved child, I am already present there. This is what surrender looks like now. Not giving up, not becoming passive. Surrender means you stop trying to occupy every future room before the sun has risen. You trust that when morning comes, enough light will be there for the next step. And when morning comes, rise differently. Do not rise as someone searching for worth. Rise as someone who carries worth into every room. Speak more slowly when fear urges you to explain yourself. Wait a little longer when emptiness pushes you toward a decision. Walk away when truth has become clear, even if your emotions need more time to follow. You do not need to feel powerful before doing something courageous. My beloved child, remember who is walking beside you. Remember who preserved the roof when you did not know how you would keep going. Remember who placed light beneath the door before you felt ready to approach it. I am still here, not as another voice competing with the world. I am the foundation beneath your feet. I am not here to make every choice for you. I am here so you no longer have to choose from abandonment. I am not returning you to a version of yourself who was never wounded. I am forming a version of you who has walked through pain and is no longer ruled by it. Let that peace remain. Let it move through every room. Let it settle where fear once lived. Let it touch every handle you used to grip with panic. My beloved child, what needed to be said has been said. What needed to be opened has begun to open, and what needs to close, you already know. You do not need to run. You do not need to prove yourself. You do not need to keep knocking on doors that have already answered through their inconsistency. Remain in the light you have. Do the simple thing before you. I will meet you there. Now place your hand over your heart and breathe. Say quietly, I will not abandon myself to keep what cannot meet me in truth. Let that become your agreement with me. Close what must close. Prepare what can grow. Rest without fear. Walk into tomorrow with open eyes and a steady heart. My beloved child, when your hand touches the door of a new day, do not ask first whether someone on the other side will choose you. Remember that you are already loved. Remember that you have learned to choose truth. And from this moment forward, no room is worthy of your presence if entering it requires you to leave yourself behind at the threshold. Walk forward in peace. I am with you. Amen.